Hi there. This is Mr. Pouts. I am going to go through a few examples from the Equation Squares project that is from Unit 2. And this is all about solving multi-step equations. Some of them will be 2 steps, some 3, some more. And I know a lot of you have gotten through a lot of these, but I wanted to put a resource on here to help you out in case you're struggling through some, just to help you get the idea that we're going through here. So I'm going to do about 5 or 6 examples. All right, so this is what the equation squares look like. I believe it's the same as what your sheet looks like, all except for in square B here. Make sure you note that this bottom one, instead of being a minus sign, it's supposed to be an equal sign right here. And I know I changed it on most of the copies that you got, but it's supposed to be 105J equals 15J plus 30. All right, but we're going to go through one. The one that we're going to go through for B is the one on the right. All right, from square B, it said 4m plus 15. So we're looking right here. Square B, this one on the right here. And if you look here, it says 4 times m plus 15. So that's called 4 times the quantity m plus 15 equals 5m minus 3m minus 94. I believe I have that written out right. Yes, it is. So if you remember back, I gave you a half sheet, and there were steps that to follow to solve any equation. And the first thing it said to do is always check if you can do any distributive property. So if you see here, this is where you can do some distributive property. And the 4 is obviously on the outside, so it's going to be distributed to the m and to the 15. So it's 4 times m, or 4m. And again, this is all happening on the left side of the equal sign, left side of the equation. And then 4 times 15, which is 60. And that's still equal to 5m minus 3m minus 94. All right, that's step 1. Step 2, it says to do combine any like terms on either side of the equation. So if you look on the left side, nothing you can combine there. Look at the right side, it looks like we have 2 different m terms. So we have this positive 3m and this negative 3m, which makes a total of 2m, which would be 2m minus 94 instead of 5m minus 3m, and that's still equal to 4m plus 60. Now, if you recognize that right away and you could do both of those steps in one step, then that's okay, as long as you don't make a mistake there. Now we have an equation with no distributive property, no like terms that we can combine on either side, and now we can start doing the steps just for solving. And that would be starting off with trying to get all of the variable terms onto one side of the equation. So we have to get rid of them from the other one side. So let's look at this one right here. We have it on both sides, so let's say we want to get rid of the 2m over here. To get rid of a whole 2m, not just the 2, not just the m, the whole 2m, we're going to subtract that term, so minus 2m here, and those cancel out. Don't think that that is a division sign. I was just underlining that for the sake of it being a term. But when we do that, we find that on the left side we're left with 4m minus 2m is 2m, plus 60 yet is equal to negative 94. And now all the variable terms are on one side, so we want to try and get all the just plain number terms, or they're called constants, to one side. And if you look here, we have a plus 60 here and a minus 94, so we want to get all of the numbers to the opposite side as the variables. So let's get rid of this plus 60 and subtract 60 from both sides. All right, if you subtract that, those cancel out. You're left with just 2m equals negative 94 minus 60. So really you're just saying 94 plus 60, and then you keep the negative because it's going to be, they're both negative. So that would be negative 154. All right, then we have one step left. Since all the variable terms are on the left side, all the number terms on the right side, we can divide both sides by 2 to get rid of the 2 that's in front of the m, because we want the m by itself. Divide this by 2, and you get m equals, I believe it's negative 77. All right, so that one would be negative 77. You can write that on your thing as negative 77. All righty, so that's one from square B. Let's check out one from square L. I believe we're going to go ahead and do the top one here. Let me check to make sure. Yep, so we're going to do this top one, which is 11 times y minus 3 equals 7 times y plus 1. All right, so going back to our steps. You might realize that here the both sides looks like we can use the distributive property. So we're going to do that. We're going to distribute over here and over here. Do it separately on their own sides. So that would be 11 times y, which is 11y, and 11 times 3, which is 33. And you keep that subtraction sign. And if you wanted to change it just so that you know it's plus and negative 3 here, you could have done 11y plus negative 33, which would be exactly the same. That is equal to, if we distribute the 7 times y, is 7y plus 7 times 1, which is 7. And now we're down to an equation with just, with no more distributing. There's no like terms that we can do. We just have to get all the variable terms to one side and all of the constant terms, or just the plain number terms, to the other, so we can solve. All right, so first let's see, let's get rid of this let's get rid of this 7y over here. Okay, so let's subtract this whole 7y. Subtract it over there. You're left, that cancels out, so you're left with 4y minus 33 equals a positive 7. All right, now we gotta get rid of this 33 on the left side, so we have all the number terms on the other side, and of course we're gonna do the opposite of subtraction, which is addition. And we're gonna add 33 to both sides. All right, sorry about that. Cancels out here. You have 4y equals 7 plus 33 is 40. And then you're down to one last step, which would be to get rid of this 4 that's in front of the y. So to undo that multiplication, you would divide by 4. So that means that y, so when you cancel out, y is equal to 10. And we are done there. We can take that 10 and put it in our squares for over here. This is 10. All right, so next we're going to do one from box E. I believe we're just going to do the bottom one. Yep, we're going to do this bottom one here. 9h plus 11 equals negative 5h minus 17. So, going on to that one, we are going to first, we can look and we can say, can we distribute anything? There's not any parentheses, so we're not going to use that distributive property at all. Are there any like terms on either side of the equation? If you look on the left, those two terms are not alike. Look on the right, those two terms are not alike. So we can't combine any like terms, which means we just have to try and get all the variable terms to one side and the rest to the other. All right, so we're going to start off, and I'm going to do these two steps in one step. So follow along with me. If you see here, we're going to try and get rid of this negative 5h. So we're going to add 5h to both sides. Add 5h. But I'm also going to try and get all the numbers to the right side. So I'm going to get rid of this plus 11. I'll do this one in blue so you can tell the difference. And we're going to subtract 11 and subtract 11 from over here. All right. And your answers are going to be, you have this cancels out and this cancels out. So you have 9h plus 5h is 14h equals, now remember that subtraction sign turns into a negative here. So negative 17 minus 11 is going to be negative 28. And since we did those both in one step, and you can do that if you want, as long as you can keep it straight. Now we're down to one step left, which would be simply to get rid of that 14 that's multiplied by the h and divide it by 14. Do that to both sides. H equals negative 2. All right. And again, if you want to go back, and I think it's a very, very good thing to do, is to go back and check your answers. You can say, I'm going to plug this negative 2 back in for h. And I'll do it over here to the right in small. So it'd be 9 times negative 2 plus 11 equals negative 5 times negative 2 minus 17. I know it's kind of hard to see there, but this is 9 times negative 2 is negative 18 plus 11 equals negative 5 times negative 2 is 10, two negatives, minus 17. If you look on the left, negative 18 plus 11 is going to get you to negative 7. 10 minus 17 is negative 7, so they're the same, so we get a smiley face, because we did it right. So when you plug it back in and check and you see that both sides are still equal and balanced, that means that you got the correct answer. H really is equal to negative 2. So we can put that right here. Negative 2 is our answer. All right, I think I'm going to do a couple more for you. We're going to go with on R. I believe we're going to do the top one. Yep. So on R, you're going to do this one right here. And it is 7g equals 3 times the quantity 4 plus g. And it looks like this. All right, follow the same steps. Let's see if we can distribute anything. Get rid of any parentheses if there are some. And it looks like we have some, so let's try to get rid of those. All right, so 3 times what's inside. 3 times 4 is 3 times g would be, again, dividing this, so you know, the two sides would be 3 times 4 is 12 plus 3 times g, or 3g, still equal to 7g. Now, you want to try and get the variable terms to one side again, but remember, you want all the other terms to the other side. So you could subtract 7g from the left side, but then there'd be nothing left over there. It'd be so much easier to just subtract this 3g from the right side, because you have the numbers left on the right side, and you have all the variables on the left side, which is really nice and very, it's only going to turn into end up 2 steps then. So that cancels out with this, and you have 4g equals 12. Now you just have 1 step left. I'll do that in red for you, dividing it by 4. And then g equals 3. It turned into a 2-step equation. I mean, once you did this distributing, it turned into a 2-step equation because you decided to get rid of the variable terms from the correct side here. So g equals 3, and that would be right here. Alright, I think I'm going to do one more for you. And it looks like we're going to skip to, I already did all of A for you last week, and you could see those. I'm going to skip to square M. And for square M, we're going to be doing the one on the left, I believe. Yep, so this one right here. Alright, so it's 28 minus 5m equals 2m. Let's solve it. Now make sure you're trying these on your own, but this is a great way to check. So if you look here, on the left side you have a number term and a variable term. On the right side you just have a variable term. So why don't we try to get rid of the variable terms on the left side and just keep that number term over there. Alright, so to get rid of this minus 5m, you would plus 5m to both sides. And make sure you're writing the plus so you know what you're doing to it. You can't just write 5m because you know there's a 5m there. You have to know if you're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. In this case, we're trying to get rid of that whole minus 5m, not just the minus 5, the whole minus 5m. So we got to add. Right, you always add or subtract to move things around. And then to solve at the end, you would multiply or divide. All right, so you're left with 28 over here equals 2 plus 5 is 7m. And 1 step left. You can get rid of that 7 that's in front of the m, because we always got to get that m by itself, and divide it by 7. That means that 4 is equal to m. M equals 4. So bring that back up to our square m, and plug that in for square m on the left side, and you say that is 4. All right, and just a reminder, once you finish all of these, you'll have your answers written down, and then you can cut them out and put them back together so that sides that have the same numbers will be touching. So sides that have the same number of answers will be touching each other. That's how you know how to set the puzzle back up. And that's how you do the equation squares project for Unit 2.